As the great Chinese philosopher Confucius said, study the past if you would define the future. Hey guys, welcome back to the Poetically J YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about my experience while visiting Mexico and meeting with the Mayan people, what I learned from them, what we can all learn from them, and how we can implement some of the practices that they've used for so long into our lives today. Were originally from the areas of Mexico, northern Belize, and Guatemala. And when you think of some of the contributions that they made to our society, probably astrology, our calendaring system, and even architecture come to mind. In fact, while I was in Mexico, I got to visit one of their most well-known sites, Chichen Itza, which is located in the Quintana Roo region of Mexico. So today I'm going to be talking about just how inspired I was from being able to tour this site, learning more about this culture, and some of the things that I really think that we can take from them and learn from them and be able to incorporate into our lives today. So during our tour of the Quintana Roo region, one of the coolest things that I actually learned about was how ancient Mayans and many Mayans that are still living in these areas today use obsidian. This right here, this is an obsidian necklace that I actually got from Mexico. Obsidian is used for many different things within the culture and was used historically. But one of the things that stuck out to me for obsidian was actually the use of obsidian to take away or reduce the pain from menstrual cramps and also to reduce the length of women's cycles. And so that automatically stuck out to me, honestly, because I've always struggled with having pretty long cycles and honestly pretty painful cramps for most of my life until I started adjusting some of my eating habits, which has helped it a lot, don't get me wrong, but I do still have those times where, you know, those really bad cramps do hit me. So I was like, okay, cool, snagging some of that. And you know, I tried it out for the first time last month, and basically you just like take obsidian. You can take really any size obsidian. Probably, I'm assuming that a bigger size would maybe work better and, you know, maybe work a little bit faster. I don't know this for sure, but this is just something I'm assuming. But basically, during that time, I took my necklace off, which I've basically been wearing since I got back from Mexico because I love it so much. It's so cute, right? I was rubbing it in a circular motion around my abdomen, and I did it for about 15 minutes in the morning, and that worked. Honestly, that worked. I really didn't have to do it very much. That was really the only day that I experienced having any cramps, and they were shortened because typically it's for the entire first day of my cycle. So I'm a believer. I'm gonna try it again next month and let you guys know if it was just a fluke, but I really don't think that it was. I think that these practices that have been around, they've been around for so long because they do work. So if anybody struggles with menstrual cramps, there you go. You can try this out and let me know in the comments how it worked out for you. So moving on to the next thing. Second thing that I learned from the ancient Mayans was their reverence for water and how we can all have reverence for water. I think the respect that the ancient Mayans had for water is really summed up in this quote by Dr. Daniel Matul. Dr. Matul is the director of the International Mayan League, and this is what he had to say. We speak to water. We have conversations with it. We caress it. We transmit our happiness and our sadness to it. When I read this quote from Dr. Matul, it instantly took me back to Mexico and how they had so much reverence for the water, for the bodies of water. I got to spend a lot of time in the cenotes and learning more about how they were used in Mayan culture. And the cenotes were actually regarded as a portal between this world and the underworld. It was basically perceived as an earthly representation of the womb. So when Mayan people would pass away, they would actually put their bodies back into these cenotes as a way of returning them to the womb. I just thought that was such a beautiful practice. Mind you, thinking back in retrospect, it makes you think about how you were approaching these places that you're visiting and the level of respect that you should enter into them with, knowing that, you know, so much ancestral history lies in these bodies of water. Another thing that I found really interesting about the cenotes in Mexico is that the water was always so cool, so cold, refreshingly cold. Just, you felt like you were being cleansed in a deeper way, level of cold. I don't really know how to explain it, but it was completely hot at the time that I visited Mexico. I've been to Mexico now 4 times, and this time that I visited was probably the hottest time that it's ever been. And the water was just so refreshing, so cold. And, you know, obviously this water is running through caves. It's a whole system of water that's running underground. There's so many of them that you can visit. But each of them represented something different spiritually and just functionally for these people. And, you know, I just have a lot more respect. I loved the cenotes the first time that I saw them, even without understanding the history of them, the historical significance. But now that I have an understanding of what role they played in the lives of the ancient Mayans, I have a newfound respect for them. So be sure that if you do get the opportunity to visit these beautiful sites, they are really amazing, that you enter into them with a level of reverence for what they represent. I know a lot of the times, like, tourists get a bad rep for, you know, just trying to come over and wanting to basically make use of these resources and take in their beauty without really understanding the full story behind them. So I hope this gives you a little bit of background, and if you haven't been to Mexico yet, maybe you'll do a little bit more research, find out some more things that I wasn't able to learn, but that can better educate you and inform your experience when you do visit there. Now, ancient Mayans didn't just have reverence for water. They actually had reverence for everything. They believed that animals, people, everything, both animate and inanimate, deserved respect and should be treated as such. They refer to this sacredness as ka. And when I think of many of the problems that we have in our world, I think most of them stem from a lack of sacredness, a lack of reverence for resources, a lack of reverences for people, for relationships, for, you know, opinions, and all these different things. I think that if we got back to the core of just showing one another respect and reverence for the beings that we are, each of us might move a lot differently. You know, I won't say there'd be no need for war, because we've been going to war since the beginning of time, but maybe we would be a little less quick to go to war or even get into conflict in any way in our day-to-day lives if we were able to respect and honor the place that each of us come from. I'm not gonna lie, there were so many things that I learned from the Mayans, and I will continue to probably learn more about them and just explore some of the ways that we can incorporate some of their practices. Now, obviously, not everything that the ancient Mayans did resonates with me currently. It was a different time, a different space, but I will say that when you are in Mexico, be sure that you don't just visit the super touristy areas. Be sure that you go a little bit off the beaten path. Chichen Itza isn't necessarily off the beaten path by any means, but what I'm saying is take the time to connect with the local culture, find out more about them, find out more about their history, and you'd really be surprised how much of the things that you learn really just resonate with you and they feel intuitive. The obsidian, it felt completely intuitive to me, to be using something natural to, you know, to be able to heal ourselves. I think that there are so many ways that we don't necessarily tap into, but there's so many devices at our fingertips in any given moment. And I just think that it's such a blessing when you think that our Creator left all of these tools to help guide us. And, you know, some people consider like the use of crystals or the use of sage or the use like any type of like energy related work, they consider it to be in conflict with religion. And the thing is, none of this is in conflict with religion. They're tools. Another really cool thing that I didn't mention about obsidian, which was actually what drew me to it in the first place, was a demonstration that they did during our tour, which was basically where they took a piece of obsidian, it was bigger than this, maybe about this size, and held it over their eye, looked up at the sun, and you were actually able to see the sun through the obsidian, but in a more muted tone that allowed you to actually look at the sun and observe it. Obsidian is similar to glass. It's like a black glass. It doesn't look like it necessarily when you look at it. Like it looks like this is, you know, not really see-through, but when you hold it up to light, it actually becomes something that you can look through. And so they talked about how obsidian could actually be used to view the sun and how ancient Mayans actually used obsidian to clean their eyes. Now, don't go taking obsidian and looking into the sun because I said that the ancient Mayans did it. I'm not necessarily sure about the health effects, the side effects of looking at the sun. There's some things that I've seen online that have said that, you know, it could still be damaging to your eyes, even to observe the sun through obsidian. But this is something that these ancient people did. But again, not necessarily all of their practices are going to be something that I take on for myself. But I do have a level of respect and just awe by the things that they were able to do and the practices that they did involve in their lives. I think that some of them are really cool. Again, I don't know if that's actually okay to do, but this is something that I learned and I did try and I did think it was pretty amazing. If you're heading to Mexico soon and planning to visit some cenotes or know a friend who is, be sure to share this video so they have an idea of what to expect when they are going on their trip. As always, thanks for checking this video out. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, take care and be well.